I said I despise appeals to emotion. What I mean here, and what I meant, was the translator was crying. He's sniffling and crying. I do not like having the CNN run a story where a guy's like, I desire to see our children. I'm like, okay.
Holy how did it get worse?
You mean it happened more than once? Yes. Translators, for some reason, just keep crying as they read the words of Zelensky. I like Zelensky. I think he's a cool dude. I think
you're doing an appeal to emotion right now. Oh wow. It must be a conspiracy, you know. That's the only way to explain this. I mean, why are they becoming emotional when people are talking about their kids getting bombed? Why is the Ukrainian translator getting upset by the words that are being said right now in a war? In a war.
On Monday night during our show with Lauren Southern on Timcast IRL, we were swatted. Now, when the information came in, I didn't immediately want to say anything. Lauren had been talking at some point during the show. Lydia, who's producing and, operating the cameras and sound and everything, waved to me, checked my phone, and said we were swatted. I didn't want to say anything about it because, to a certain point, okay, we got swatted the first time live on air. The cops came in. We got swatted again, and at that point, I'm like, if it's going to keep happening, we're not going to talk about it. But then we got word that the police were going to be coming into the studio. So I said, okay, get the camera ready. We got swatted.
Oh, yeah, I hate Tim Pool. You all know that. How many Tim Pool videos do I have on my channel? Probably like close to 100 at this point, just because he seems to always have the worst possible takes. He even got even worse when he tweeted out the other day that he thought Zelensky was doing an appeal to emotion when he said, please stop bombing our kids. I was like, whatever little humanity remained, the beanie has now taken every last inch of it. He is now more beanie than man. Absolutely. All that being said, no, I do not think you should be swatting people. People fucking can die from that shit.
And decided to go public with it because, again, initially my idea was not say anything during the show because we've secured everything. The police have been requested to respond to every call, that no matter what, and they agree it's the right thing to do. Last night, during our preparations for the
Twisted
show,
and evil.
We were swatted twice. We were then swatted subsequently a third time. Okay, so this is around, I believe, like 7:30. We're getting ready to go live on the show, and I believe it's possible it may have something to do with Lauren Southern. I'm not entirely sure, because the first swatting occurred during the show, and we have in the title on YouTube, Lauren Southern. And then just the other day, for the State of the Union address, we were going to be doing this drinking game. We launched our live player, the live stream early. We didn't go live early, but we created the event, which said drinking game with Lauren Southern. And of course, then we were swatted around like 7:35. We were then subsequently swatted again. Now, the third swatting might not actually constitute a swatting. So I'll get into all of that, but I'll explain what's going on. It was an emergency services call. The image that I have up on the screen is grainy because it is zoomed in and cropped quite a bit to protect the privacy of the officer and the privacy of myself. The swatting that occurred last night was not just at our studio where the previous swattings have occurred. The swatting was also at my personal home. As many of you know, I live in West Virginia. I don't live, we have the studio in Maryland. And I don't live, I technically, I've secondary residence, but my primary residence is West Virginia. I'm a West Virginia resident.
No, I didn't know that. Wow. Tim Pool's fucking loaded. That compound we see that's like got like skate parks and everything built into it, that's your second compound?
Someone got a hold of my personal address, and the police showed up armed with short barrel AR-15s. And my understanding is they surrounded the property. Fortunately, no one was there. I'm not the only person who lives there. There are other people who stay and use the house because we actually have several properties in the area because we're expanding. We also have Freedomistan, as many of you know, which is soon to be my new official primary residence in West Virginia. So now we're in the process of moving. There are other people here. Fortunately, no one was there. Nobody got hurt. The first call was to this property, and the second call was to my West Virginia property, and the third call was also to the studio. someone called in a gas leak. So it's not necessarily a swatting, but emergency services were actually about to deploy to dispatch. And that's medical and that's fire department. And then I suppose my understanding of what happened is they always do that. The police, will come for instances like this in certain circumstances. And I guess they were immediately told this is likely fake. And the police had already been dispatched to check out what was told.
See, like, outside of the fact that, like, you shouldn't be swatting people because it can result in death, one of the other problems with what these people are doing as far as tactics, and don't worry, I'm going to rip into Tim Pool in a couple seconds. You'll still get your daily dose of Tim Pool, is the fact that they're using up emergency services in this case. That's also fucking a terrible thing to do. You're going to be using resources that could be used otherwise for people who could be suffering, right? It distracts from, it distracts from legitimate crises. Exactly.
And then the emergency services backed off. So I have some theories as to, why this is happening. But I do have updated information. We have a response from the police. We have a name. And I want to give a special shout out and a thank you to Jeremy Hambley over at The Quartering.
What a crossover.
Because, as it turns out, he's actually dug up some pertinent information that's been corroborated by law enforcement, at least on our end. I don't know who Jeremy's spoken with, but some information has been corroborated, and we have a name. The name may be fake. Jeremy's also offered up a $10,000 reward. Again,
wow.
Seriously, thanks, dude. I appreciate the support in highlighting the issue and working to figure out who it is. The reason I'm particularly grateful is that we got new information from our lawyers, from some prominent personalities that I'll keep unnamed for the sake of their privacy, but people you probably know who have been helping to figure out what happened, and some FOIA requests, as well as information from the police, some which I think is particularly interesting. Some of the information that we got, I want to be vague because I don't want to impede any kind of investigation or hamper Jeremy.
The Quartering's investigation. Our top men are on it. Don't worry, we've got the Quartering figuring this one out. He's taking the law into his own hands. Cannot think of a more frightening prospect.
His efforts, but it seems that Jeremy is actually onto something, and we may actually figure out who's done this. What I will say first and foremost is that the police told us they have a state, California. They have a name, which I won't repeat. I won't say for the sake of, investigation. California is one of 50 states, so come on.
The Quartering's investigation.
And what they said was it was automated. Now, that's where things get interesting. It was an automated phone call. This means that someone's created a system for swatting, that they can have it dial a number, and then it just gives a generic message. Now, the other interesting thing is it appears...
Wait, now we're starting to get into the strange here. Like, how does the automated machine have a conversation with police officers or emergency services? Like, if you dial 911, it's not just like, okay, say what you want and then it'll happen. It's you have a conversation with someone who tries to assess what is the emergency and what is the best way to deal with it.
It's not one person who swatted us all 3 times yesterday. It may actually be 3 different instances. However, one of these swattings was identical in many ways to a previous swatting. So we believe it may be an issue of notoriety. It may be an issue of a botnet or coordinated effort across multiple lines. I don't know for sure because some of the information is being withheld from us. Now, again, the image you see on the screen, I posted on Instagram. It's an officer holding a short-barreled rifle as he's approaching the door to my home.
Could you give an AI bot like that when
I will add to this. People
text
have said not
911
to
in a lot
talk
of
about
places.
it, and that's why on Monday when we had Lauren Southern on the show.
Well, to be clear, he specifically said that they're calling in. He hasn't said that they are like texting in this case.
Was like, I'm not going to say anything about it.
I like how this thing is worship Crossland, like worship Moonlord.
I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to rehash it. But once we thought the police were like, we have to go in, I was like, okay, if they're coming in the studio and I can't do anything about it, we'll get the cameras up. However, our staff here were able to
clean up your
intervene.
room.
The police, I
Goldie
suppose,
Fawn X, thank
met
you.
with them and said, okay, we won't go up. Then I'm like, okay, I guess now they're not coming up. But some people did demand proof. And I am a man of my word. I believe proof is very important. Pixar, it didn't happen. And so I posted this clip from our security footage. I cropped out the officer's face for his privacy. I cropped out a large portion for my privacy. But I wanted to show you this really, really happened. I mean, and this is legit.
Whoa. Interrupt this to bring some great news. Breaking! New York Times tech workers just voted to unionize, forming the largest tech union in U.S. history. That's fucking incredible news. Gonna keep pumping the positive news.
We have I have a letter with an update from the first swatting. Now, for those that are don't know the context, the first swatting occurred just after we hosted Marjorie Taylor Greene. The second swatting occurred just after we hosted Andy Ngo and James O'Keefe. And I will also add, after this, we had a man come onto our property at the studio. Our driveway is about 1,000 feet long. We have a very, very large
it does seem like an appeal to emotion.
Followed by subsequent, you are being filmed and recorded, everything you do, and another no trespassing sign. And we've since installed a physical barrier. We do have...
I was about to say, why didn't you put a gate? Like, of all the things, we have a very complex camera system that films every single thing that people do. We want to make them very self-aware of our filming of them and documenting of them. Like, you could also just put a gate up so people don't drive into the driveway.
Armed security, so armed guards, I'll put it that way. And so a lot of people are bringing that up.
Wait, armed guards?
We have armed guards. Police are instructed to respond to every instance as if it's a
I guess I didn't have a real big grasp on just how wealthy Tim Pool is. Like, this compound is a secondary home, and he has a full-time staff, I guess, of armed guards. Wow.
Serious and legitimate call, and they agree with us. There was a man who made a YouTube video where he said that he was waiting for security or something to come greet him. And when it didn't happen, he just drove on the property. That's trespassing. But then he entered our house. And that is, I believe, 4th-degree burglary, which is, I believe it's a felony. I could be wrong. It might be a misdemeanor. I'm not.
Okay, let's get to the meat here, Tim.
Someone enters the property, bypassing our no trespassing signs. And at this point now, bypassing our physical barrier. If we don't file charges, I should say, you know, it's the state filing charges, to clarify. But if we don't provide witness testimony and then follow through at the request of the state, because it's the county attorneys, you lose a lot of legal protections. Let's say someone breaks into the house and they're violent, and one of our guards takes physical action. Let's not say serious. You think me going to the state, the county, the town, and the feds when they're pissed off about this, and I'm going to be like, guys, take it easy on this one. They're going to be like, no. But yesterday we got hit 3 times, and it doesn't appear to be, at least my understanding, one person doing all 3, which leads me to believe that it could be the fact that I'm trending on Twitter. The reason I'm trending on Twitter says, podcast host and political commentator Tim Pool reacts to an emotional speech made by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to the European Parliament. That is factually incorrect, but I don't blame people for not understanding because, I mean, Twitter is without context. What I was responding to, this is the tweet in question. There's a tweet from CNN that says, we desire...
Oh, he's going to explain it. All right, I'm curious. Here we go, Tim.
...to see our children alive. I think it's a fair one. That quote is in English, and it comes from an EU translator. I said, I despise appeals to emotion. What I mean here, and what I meant, was the translator was crying. He's sniffling and crying. I do not like having the CNN run a story where a guy's like, we desire to see our children. I'm like, okay.
Holy fuck, how did it get worse? How did it... he broke down while he was listening to it. That's not CNN is reporting the story as it happened. How is this possibly worse? Holy fuck, Tim, you monster.
Dude, with respect, we should take you to the break room, get you a coffee, some fresh air. I understand why you're emotional, but we need someone to translate this so we can understand what's happening.
What? Oh, sorry to interrupt everything that's happening here. I need to pull this guy away. He's not, I guess, conducting himself in a professional manner right now. So please hold on your speed, Zelensky. Yeah, just hold on 1 second. Hold on. Just put a pin in what you're about to say. Sure, was a really good thing. Maybe important. I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna have to ask you to leave. Yeah, sorry, you're not acting professionally right now. This is ridiculous. And so then we're gonna replace you with a translator who actually knows how to do their job, unlike you.
Volodymyr Zelensky saying we desire to see our children alive is not, in my opinion, an appeal to emotion.
Thanks, Tim. Oh, that's really nice of you. Thanks for clarifying that one. It's the translator, you see. He's the one who's appealing to emotion. And then CNN by promoting him.
It's an appeal to humanity, or I suppose. I actually feel that saying we desire to see our children alive, I think it's a fair one, is a more balanced statement between logic and emotion. And I am in no way criticizing Zelensky. In fact...
Are you debate broing what took place here? See, to me, I think it's a good thing that he's appealing. He made a logical decision there. It's a rational one. It's a humanitarian decision to state what he did. So that is not a problem. I do not see a problem with this. But of course, you know, fake news media, Twitter, incorrectly reporting on what I really feel, which is that I should have been there so I could physically grab the translator, shake him a little bit, and tell him to do his job properly.
I think Putin's invasion is wrong. My point was, when they run a news story where the translator is crying, Zelensky was not crying. Zelensky was not crying to appeal to my emotions. He was making a rousing speech, which in a sense, for sure, is emotional. But that wasn't the point I was trying to make. So I can certainly say...
Like, who does Tim think he is? He's never appealed to emotion? We have him appealing to emotion on the soundboard.
And you keep saying, but my kids need food. And now inflation is here, and there's food shortages, and your kids aren't eating, and the schools are indoctrinating your kids.
That's not even the only one.
And in the next 10 years, as we enter the fourth turning and it escalates, it is going to get worse. Facing the boot of the authoritarian fascist government.
Like, your entire shtick is appeals to emotion, and mixed in with plausible deniability constantly. Just after the appeals to emotion, you'll be like, and that's what I meant, or didn't. I'd like to say that I both do and do not think this.
Yeah, I understand why people didn't understand it, and I certainly don't care. There's nothing I can do about it if people want to make it go viral and accuse me of whatever. But I want to show you this from Euronews. Ukrainian translator gets emotional during Zelensky EU
Yeah, everyone knows. That's why it was a story.
speech. Huh. You mean it happened more than once? Yes. Translators, for some reason, just keep crying as they read the words of Zelensky. I like Zelensky. I think he's a cool dude. I think
you're doing an appeal to emotion right now. Oh wow, it must be a conspiracy, you know. That's the only way to explain this. I mean, why are they becoming emotional when people are talking about their kids getting bombed? Why is the Ukrainian translator getting upset by the words that are being said right now in a war, in a fucking war?
There's a lot of lies and propaganda. I don't like Vladimir Putin. I certainly understand a lot of what Putin's perspective is, and there's a lot of criticism over Zelensky, but my criticism is not directed at him. He's defending his country from an invasion. I think Putin's losing, and that's why he's become desperate, and I think what Putin is doing is extremely dangerous. With that being said, don't you come to me and play these crying speeches to try and manipulate my emotions. Of course, I am trending on Twitter. I think I reached like number 12 nationwide, which resulted in high-profile individuals who then started tweeting things that were exaggerations. Here's one I thought was absolutely hilarious. Ethan Klein, I'll spell the other one, said Tim Pool called Zelensky a beta for asking Russia to stop killing Ukrainian kids. I certainly did not call Zelensky a beta. I've actually...
No, I called the translator a beta for fucking breaking down crying. What the fuck, Tim?
repeatedly praised him. I simply said, I despise appeals to emotion. In reaction to a clip from CNN. Of course, again, you know, with respect, I can understand why people interpret it as such that I was criticizing Zelensky's speech, when in fact, there was a viral story at the time saying CNN translator begins choking up during the speech. I decided to show the video and not the clip from the story so that people could hear the translator choking up. Perhaps I should have included that. Whatever, man. It's Twitter. I don't understand people to understand everything. I certainly did not call Zelensky a beta, but, you know, far be it from Ethan Klein to be an honest individual who knows a thing or two about politics. He also said he's trying to paint him as a communist for using a universal sign of resistance. You know what? What can I say?
Oh, wow. Are you going to double down on this one? So the other tweet that he made was, whoa, Zelensky just performed the red salute. Or maybe he's saying Black Lives Matter. Not sure if he's supporting communism or critical race theory.
Say, I'm trolling. That I get. Be mad. I said, whoa, Zelensky just performed the red salute. Or maybe he is saying Black Lives Matter. Not sure if he's supporting communism or critical race theory.
Oh, he's so proud of his own tweets. Look at this fucking smugness.
These people don't know anything about me. They don't understand that as much as the Trump supporters do, I am a milquetoast fence sitter. I am mocking the idea that he was supporting communism or critical race theory. I made a video where I said he probably just doesn't know what he's doing and just raising a fist in resistance or something. Of course, on Twitter, there are many people who don't know what jokes are, or at the very least, I think Ethan Klein does. So I got no beef with Ethan Klein. In fact,
No, I called out exactly what you said for what you said. I was like, I know exactly what Tim Pool's doing here. And this is what you've been doing for a very long time. He's been like, you know, trying to normalize a lot of the alt-right branding that will happen, such as the OK symbol. Yes, there's absolutely a ridiculousness to people who like take every single photo of someone making an OK sign and being like, well, then that looks like AOC is a fucking member of the alt-right, blah, blah, blah. But there's also people like the New Zealand shooter who use it as a way of signaling to other people that he is in fact in the alt-right, and that is the way they use that symbol. The entire like 4chan plausible deniability is what Tim Pool basically is at the front piece, or maybe even the middle piece of the fucking human centipede of that kind of shit. Because he'll take things online like Clown World or other things, or Pepe the Frog, or other like, you know, or drinking milk, all the things the alt-right will use, and they use them with intent. They will use things that are relatively benign in order to troll people into thinking that like, you know, something as normal as doing the OK symbol is actually signaling to the alt-right. And then people in the alt-right who actually are, you know, far-right or worse, will suddenly start to use them as a way of signaling to other people that, in fact, yes, we are all on the same team here. So Tim Pool doesn't make that distinction. He just uses it as an opportunity to ridicule people. And then I thought, yeah, it's an incredibly poor taste to, like, bring that kind of analysis to what is taking place right now in Ukraine.
my response was, thanks, Ethan, big fan.
Oh yeah, we watched the Timbo on Toast video, and he talks directly about the fact that he intentionally always says that line. I am a milk toast fence sitter. He weaponizes that.
Tweet, he said, debate Sam Cedar. My response to him is, bro, you can hang out whenever you want. We've had Vosh on the show several times, because while I think Vosh is wrong about certain things, Vosh has been more than willing to come on and have these conversations. When we invited Sam the first time, he didn't do it. Now all of a sudden he wants to come on.
It was a fucking pandemic. It was a pandemic. He's got a kid. Yeah, he didn't want to fly and sit in your compound. He said he would gladly go online. You did live streams, by the way, with Ben Shapiro from your compound. It's not like we just don't have the technology. We can only see you in person. This is the only way this can take place.
And I don't feel that Sam is actually interested in having a real conversation. I believe it's more just TV show entertainment. Vosh, on the other hand, I think it's things wrong,
everyone.
but I think he's passionate about what he believes in, and I certainly think there's a lot to criticize the guy for, and I think there's a lot to criticize me for, but if I can have a conversation with someone, I think it's worth having. So I don't respect Vosh for a lot of his ideas, but I respect him for standing up for his ideas, making his arguments, and often he's presented his ideas and his arguments. Don't agree with his arguments, sometimes feels a bit like sophistry. I'm sure people would say the same thing about me. Now here's the point, why I bring up Ethan. We got swatted 3 times in one night. I don't think it's Ethan's fault. He's absolutely allowed to and entitled to insult me and criticize me in every way. But I bring this up just because he's a very high-profile individual with millions of followers, and this amplified my tweet to a larger audience. That is not in any way Ethan's fault. I'm just simply pointing out the logical fact. When I make a tweet, or when I troll, and then someone reacts to it, and it becomes this big, trending national moment, people are going to then do ridiculous things, and there are crazy people out there. So
this is a direct example of correlation does not equal causation, working out and playing out in real time. Tim Pool's assertion here is that because Ethan Klein made a tweet, I mean, he never showed mine. Mine also went semi-viral. I think it got 10,000 likes, where I said what little humanity is left in the beanie is now gone or something like that. The implication being that because people are putting his incredibly inhumane take up on Twitter, that this is directly leading to people, or sorry, not people, but his assertion that there's an AI-related bot that is intentionally swatting him. And he hasn't done anything to talk about the fact that the swatting has occurred when he has platformed Andy No, Lauren Southern, and who's the other one? Oh, Keen Bexty. Can't forget about Keen Bexty. If that name is new to you, I would recommend watching, I guess, a couple of documentaries that I've done on Lauren Southern, specifically her, talking about the mass grave hoax in Canada kind of stuff. Keen Bexty is a self-described Alberta nationalist. Yes, that it is a real thing. He's an Alberta nationalist who worked for Rebel Media for a very long time and went on the show with Lauren Southern. They seem to pal around a lot. And wouldn't you know, a new article just came out on Keen Bexty. Rebel Media reporter worked for white supremacist web store. Keen Bexty identified as one of the operators of Fire Force Ventures. Another member of the Federal Conservative Party and Alberta's United Conservative Party has been exposed for their involvement in the Calgary company selling Rhodesian and apartheid South African flags and war memorabilia symbols used by white supremacists. Since publication of Ricochet's initial investigation into Fire Force Ventures, 4 of the company's partners have been suspended by the Canadian Forces, and a staffer had his membership in Alberta's United Conservative Party revoked. Now Ricochet has identified Keen Bexty, a reporter for the far-right Rebel Media, as the Fire Force employee behind the pseudonym Anton. Readers help identify Anton. After publication of the original investigation of Fire Force Ventures, readers suggested that a photo of Anton posed on the company's Facebook page was Bexty. Ricochet identified Bexty, whose grandfather's middle name is Anton, by linking his username in Fire Force's Discord server to other social media accounts he uses. When asked for comment, Bexty said that he had worked for the company doing graphic design and shipping orders until resigning a few months ago. He also said that Rebel Media and his prior employer, Conservative MP Bob Benson, were unaware of his involvement with the Fire Force, a candidate to help fight the stigma of firearms. Bexty attended the University of Calgary with Adam Stashok and Henry Lung, 2 individuals Ricochet previously identified as running Fire Force. Stashok, who ran Jason Kenney's call center during the political bid for leadership of Alberta's United Conservative Party, recently had his party membership revoked after Ricochet and Press Progress revealed the virulent online racism and anti-Semitism. Lung and Strashok started the gun club at the University of Calgary, and the president of the club, Lung, endorsed fellow gun enthusiast Bexty for the 2015 Student Union election. Lung cited Bexty in a Facebook post as a candidate who would allow the club to fight the stigma of firearms on campus and beyond. Bexty's bid for vice president and operations and finance were ultimately unsuccessful. Bexty and Strashok appear to be good friends, with photos of the 2 on social media dating back years. They were members of the right-wing campus clubs together, and both went to work for the office of Conservative MP Bob Benson. They're listed as constituency assistants in the Canadian government directory. I mean, if the fucking trucker rally didn't expose everybody for the amount of, like, you know, far-right shit that is going on in Canada, it never stops. Bexty served as vice president of the Conservative Party of Canada's campus club for over 2 years, according to his LinkedIn profile, and attended that party's convention last spring. Linked to MPs and officials in mainstream conservative parties, he's a member of Alberta's United Conservative Party and posted to social media while attending the Manning Foundation events. Most recently, he has been an ardent supporter of Maxime Bernier, whom he describes as an Albertan from Quebec. Scandals follow Bexty. Bexty's involvement in right-wing scandals has frequently landed him in the news. Recently, he defended the United Conservative Party member speech comparing the rainbow pride flag to the swastika, threatening on Twitter that he and 600 party members who attended Rebel Media conferences where the speech occurred would desert the party if Jason Kenney kicked out the speaker. He has since deleted the tweet, although Kenney did ultimately decline to expel that speaker from his party. In the summer, Bexty led the argument for a controversial motion at the Federal Conservative Convention in Halifax to bring up the end of birthright citizenship, a policy which, if implemented, would mean that a person born on Canadian soil would no longer be guaranteed citizenship. He suggested Canada suffers from a drain on services caused by birth tourism, a problem that experts agree has no basis in reality. As in, filthy non-white people are coming to Canada, and then they're coming here just to give birth, so they can then have a kid who has a Canadian citizenship. It's a far-right conspiracy theory. Recently, Bexty has voiced support for President Donald Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship in the United States, despite the guarantee included in the U.S. Constitution. Ending birthright citizenship has long been a medium-term goal of the white nationalist movement in North America, which views it as a realistic policy change that can pave the way forward to end their goal of a whites-only ethno-state. Radical anti-feminism pieces of human garbage. It's become dangerous to be conservative in Canada, Bexty said at the recent Rebel Media conference, where he was one of the featured speakers. He went on to argue that fake news, mainstream media, determined to label conservatives as racist or fascist. My name is Keen Matthew Bexty, and I am unashamedly a cultural conservative, he said to introduce himself. Cultural conservatism is often defined as a form of conservatism whose focus is the preservation of the heritage of a nation or a shared culture. It is often associated with discriminatory attitudes towards races and cultures. You might have heard of me in the fake news media. If you've ever had a cursory reader of the University of Calgary fake student newspaper, in which I have featured no less than 26 times, you would have heard that I'm a fascist, Confederate-supporting, radical, anti-feminist piece of human garbage. I am not a fascist, he declared with a grin as the audience applauded. I am not a fascist. Bexty makes it clear in his speech that his goal is to push mainstream conservatives further to the right, particularly on the issues of diversity. Criticizing the executive director of United Conservative Party for driving Kenney towards the center, he said that Janice Harrington has been in charge of the bumbling, embarrassing, and unfair nominations to the United Conservative Party that we've seen over the last little while. It doesn't matter what the left calls us. It doesn't matter if the mainstream media has a conniption because they talk about fighting globalism a little bit, or that we should reduce immigration by a little bit. It doesn't matter. After the publication, we received the following statement from Jason Herring, editor-in-chief of the University of Calgary student newspaper. The Gauntlet stands by its reporting on Bexty and takes exception for his accusation that the Gauntlet stories are inaccurate or misleading. Strange times at university. Bexty ran into trouble as a university student. There was a strange saga of his time in the Wildrose Campus Club when he accused of sabotaging it from the inside. Bexty's support of Jason Kenney in the United Conservative Party leadership race put him at odds with those who supported former Wildrose leader Brian Jean. While Bexty and Strashhawk were on the executive Wildrose of campus, an email stating that feminism is cancer was sent out to the club to promote a movie about anti-feminist men's right activists. Both Kenney and Wildrose criticized the move, and Bexty blamed a figure named Robert McDavid, said to be the club's communication director, but an investigation by the Gauntlet, the University of Calgary student newspaper, could find no evidence of McDavid's existence other than a recently created Facebook profile. After the email controversy, Bexty resigned from the club and had to withdraw from his role as a youth delegate at Alberta's Progressive Conservative Leader Convention. Members of the alt-right speak openly about their desire to infiltrate mainstream conservative parties and work to push them towards extremism. Bexty, in a speech at the Rebel Media, seems to have a similar focus on fighting the move for the Conservative Party of Canada and United Conservative Party to the right. It remains to be seen Bexty's association with a company that markets memorabilia from white ethno-states and posted racial slurs to social media will cost him his job with Rebel Media or his membership with the Alberta and federal conservative parties, but it underlines a growing problem for mainstream conservative political movements, increasingly beset by scandals that involve Strashhawk and Bexty. How can they grow in their ranks while keeping out members with ties to the far right? In the wake of the Strashhawk revelations, the United Conservative Party announced a new screening process designed to prevent extremism. And like, it does not shock me at all that Keane Bexty is now, besties with Lawrence Southern. The two of them are making documentaries and videos together, calling into question, the murder of Indigenous children in Canada. It all ties in. It absolutely all ties in. And whether or not, Tim Pool knows this or he doesn't care, or on top of everything else, it's one of those things where it's just like, I just want to platform everybody. I want to hear what their ideas are kind of shit. Make no mistake, when someone like Lauren Southern is trying to spread the message that she's changed, like she is palling around with this person as recently as this week. So it's not, as if it's like, oh, I used to know Keane Bexty back in the day. And Keane Bexty can be like, well, I used to work for a store that sold a whole bunch of white nationalist shit, and pro-apartheid flags and stuff like that. But I wasn't, how involved could you really say I was? I did some graphic design for the fucking white nationalist flag store. But that doesn't mean that I myself am a white nationalist, even though, I do tend to scream it a little bit too loudly. Like, holy shit.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
This is Ben. And this is Todd. We're the Folklords. Season 2.
Yo, Grick, baby, I got a lickety split.
Catch you later, Machina.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback, because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we beseech thee to smite down our enemies. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble court jesters, here to amuse you. To our lords, Trevor R., we give thanks for this spit of land for us to eke out this meager existence. To our knights, Merid, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Ellie Leslie, Alex P., Brandon, Words Greenwood, Nate, that one guy, Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Val 9000, Jenna Tall, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multi Mondi, Trevor Yanis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojak,